Montage rolling. Go.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our national and political landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, we'll talk about Edo election and how APC clinched victory. But first, let's apologize for not coming up on Saturday as we have been monitoring trends and developments in Edo election. And that's why we're here today to analyze how Edo election had been won and lost. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Good to see you, BKO.
Good to see you, Ibrahim. Good to do this with you. I say welcome to our viewers.
Absolutely. So, BKO, I know yesterday we were on air together, and then we were looking at the developments coming from Edo State. You know, the political intrigues, the winners, the losers, and all of the tensions that are built up until yesterday, and what we've been seeing now. Looks like APC is coasting home. BKO, what do you make of this latest trends coming from Edo State?
Yes, there have been quite some surprises. The APC was banking on a good outing in Edo North as well as Edo Central. You know, they were convinced that they would never be able to win in Edo South. But the way things are going now, APC has won 11 local governments. PDP has won 6, with 1 local government to go. That is Kobaoka. But one can project that APC has carried the day. So that's where we are. One of the big surprises for me was Orion 1 local government. Orion 1 is or has always been a PDP stronghold. In fact, the candidate of the APC, Pastor Age Yamu, lost Orion 1, his home local government. He was defeated at home by the PDP during the last election. So I was surprised that this time around APC carried Orion 1 with 16,059 votes to 14,614 votes from the scored by the PDP. So that's one PDP stronghold that, against all odds, the APC took. And then another very big surprise to me, the results coming from Oredo local government, where APC scored 30,780 votes to the PDP's 24,938 votes. So it's an election that has been full of surprises, as far as I'm concerned. And as you can see, the usual characteristic of the Nigerian elections. All of those things that usually happen in the Nigerian election also happened in this one. I predicted that Ibrahim focus on what we are doing. This you are distracting me. I predicted that this Edo governorship election would set a record in terms of vote buying. And I was told that yesterday a particular party was offering voters as much as 20,000 naira to vote for their candidate. This is extremely shameful. I'm ashamed to be a Nigerian where people will go to great lengths simply to win an election. People will go to ridiculous lengths to win an election. That this shouldn't be the case. We have weaponized poverty to the point that we are now using it to get people to vote for us. And all the major parties are guilty of this. I knew that it will not be a three-horse race. I told you yesterday during our analysis of the election yesterday, I told you that it will not be a three-horse race, that it will be a two-horse race. And that is what has happened. It's been APC and PDP all the way. The Labour Party completely blown out of the water. And it was so bad that Olumide Akpata, the candidate of the Labour Party, scored 98 votes in an entire local government. So when you look at this election and compare it with what transpired in the 2023 general election, where the Labour Party did extremely well in Edo State, you will then see clearly that the complexion of this election cannot be compared to the 2023 presidential election in Edo State. The circumstances are different, the stakes are higher, and I think ethnicity also played a part. In Nesako, in Edo North, where Shomole and the current deputy governor hail from, the APC scored huge votes that enabled it to pull away from the PDP that was actually leading when earlier day. I am worried about some of the reports that we are getting from election monitors and election stakeholders. The Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, Yaga Africa, Kimpact Development Initiative, Nigerian Women Trust Fund, Elect Her, and TAF Africa have all complained about what they describe as a lack of transparency in the way the election went. They complain about lack of access to collation, lack of transparency in the collation process. And while after the Oredo election result was announced, the agent of the PDP in the hall got up to say that the PDP agents for the local government was not allowed access into the collation center. Similarly, the Yaga Africa and 5 other NGOs monitoring the election complained about reports of disruptions at collation centers, intimidation of INEC officials, and attempts to collate results against electoral provisions, which certainly raised credibility concerns. So the appeals to INEC to invoke Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022, which allows for review of results not voluntarily declared. That portion of the law was built in by INEC to ensure that where his returning officer is forced to declare a result against his wish, INEC reserves the right to review that result that has been declared and release to the public the real result, not the one that his returning officer was forced to declare. INEC had faced this problem in the past, whereby politicians armed with weapons and with their thugs literally surrounding collation centers would then force returning officers to read the result that was not a product of the electoral process. That is like reading a result that was generated by people bent on achieving vote rigging. So these NGOs, Young Africa and others, are saying that INEC can invoke Section 65 of the Electoral Act to ensure that results read under duress, for example, are changed and the correct results announced. So I also noticed that there were complaints of elections starting late. I talked about some of those things that usually characterize our elections taking place in this election. Ballot materials didn't get to some polling stations in good time, and it affects the credibility of the process, because when you do not bring ballot materials on time, it sends the signal to participants in the electoral process that there is an attempt to rig for a political party. So INEC would do well to improve on its processes and ensure that this next election, the next election after this, that is Udo, that they make sure that some of the pitfalls, some of the hiccups experienced during this election are addressed frontally. INEC has to sort out these logistical issues, ensure that they pay the NURTW staff who help them to convey ballot materials from to the different polling centers are paid on time, so that they do not sabotage the process by refusing to distribute INEC's electoral materials. Yes, the election, as I said yesterday, is like a referendum on the 8 years of Governor Obaseki. If the people of Edo State are happy with their governor, they would vote for his candidate, they would defend their votes. But this particular election has been really TVC, as you can see in the way the election went. Somebody described this election as simply a battle between Senator Oshomole of the APC, and the governor of Edo State, Obaseki, whom Oshomole actually brought to office, having served as one of his economic advisors. But they have since fallen apart, and the quarrel between them was what led to Oshomole losing his position as national chairman of the APC about 4 years ago. So we await the result of Oka, which in terms of the number of registered voters, is the highest in the state. We await that result, but if the facts on ground are anything to go by, it's already looking like APC have won the election, and the change has happened. So the change of pattern will certainly happen from party to party. You know, when on November 16, Governor Obaseki steps out of the vortex of power as the governor of Edo State, an APC, the APC candidate, Monday Okpebolo, will be sworn in bearing any unforeseen circumstances. Brian, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Brian? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you actually, BK. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
You can hear me, yeah. So I just read some comments. I said Friday, Edetokon says logistical problems is always a problem, and I don't know why INEC can't make a bolder steps to resolve it. Also, Taiwo Odunlade said, good evening, Ibrahim and BKO. Thanks so much for your service to our great nation. And also, Friday, Edetokon says it's not November the 16th, but 12th. BKO, okay, he's just trying to make some little correction there. But then the question I asked, the question I asked, is Governor Godwin Obaseki, his first term, he was, he was in love with Oshiomhole, his own deputy, Shaibu, and some other people. Those who helped him in his first term, he fell out of them, fell out with them rather for his second term. The Edo Lagos narrative, the sentiment that they actually write up then. Others are also of the opinion that the influence of Oba of Benin, Omonoba, Nedo, the second, the second, it has always been, absolutely, has always been significant in Edo politics. Do you think Governor Obaseki's past clashes with the Oba could have also affected the outcome of these elections?
Of course, it will have certainly affected the way the people voted. The people of Edo State, especially the Benins, do not take disrespect to their traditional ruler lightly. And in the past, even Lucky Igbenedion lost an opportunity to become governor early in the 90s, when it was seen that his father and the then Oba of Benin were at loggerheads. In the case of Obaseki, there is no doubt about it that his relationship with the Oba of Benin was a frosty one. And going into an election with that in mind, there are people who would say, look, for disrespecting our king, for not respecting our king, we are not going to vote for you. I am aware that the Oba of Benin tried to resolve the quarrel between Oshomole and Obaseki. But Obaseki was said to have rebuffed the efforts made by the king. The Oredo local government, for example, that the APC won based on the latest results that were announced, is the local government of is the local government located in the heart of Benin City. Yes, it is highly cosmopolitan. People from other ethnicities, the Igbos, the Yorubas, people from other ethnicities, they come, they are in that local government trading, you know, and generally living their lives. But the Benis are also there in good numbers. So a good number of them could have felt that, look, we will not allow Obaseki to get away with disrespecting our traditional ruler. And don't also forget, there were a lot of defections going into this election. You know, a lot of defections to the APC. Usually when these defections happen, the party from which people are defecting usually benefits tremendously from that, because those who are your friends, who are supposed to work with you, work for you to win the election, they usually will go and work with other people. So the division within the PDP, which led people like Dan Obi, which caused them to leave, which caused people like the deputy governor, Shuaibu, you know, to leave the party after he was maltreated in inverted commas by Shuaibu, would definitely have played a part in this election.
So many other issues also, sprung up. If you look at registered voters, we have 2,629,025 registered voters. Some other in 2020, there were over 2,210,000 voters. Then 2016, 1,900,000 voters. But currently, what we understand is that 64,802 came out to vote out of more than 2 million registered voters. What do you consider?
What did you just say?
For this? I said, what do you consider 64,802 voters? I mean, yeah, those who participated in this election.
It couldn't have been 64,000. Are you referring to Oredo alone?
Yeah, Oredo, for instance.
Yes, Oredo, APC at 30,780, PDP at 24,938, and LP at 5,389. That's the place where
absolutely. That's
the local government where Labour Party recorded his biggest vote tally, and it's also because it's the most cosmopolitan of those, the most cosmopolitan of the local governments, with a lot of them Igbos, Yorubas, and other ethnicities generally. So you see, I always surprised that we do not usually match the enthusiasm with which we register for election with the way we come out on election day to exercise our franchise. There's a lot of political education that needs to be done. The National Orientation Agency also has a part to play here. The political parties have a role to play. INEC has a role to play. People shouldn't register for election and stay away on election day. It makes no nonsense of the efforts of the sacrifice that you made to get registered. You queued up sometimes for days just to be able to procure the permanent voter card, only to refuse to use it on election day. So this has to change. The attitude of Nigerians to election is not good enough. Apart from a few states like Kano, like Katsina, Kaduna, generally our people do not come out to vote. Our people do not come out to vote. In terms of getting people to come out on election day, our political parties need to invest a lot on that. Just as it is done in the US, we have volunteers who will be knocking on doors, and encouraging people to come out and exercise their franchise. The parties that do that very well are parties that usually carry the day in elections. So with that culture, we need to bring that culture to Nigeria, whereby parties will invest on getting people to come out on election day, because election day is the most critical day. All of the campaigns that you've done, all of the effort, the hard work can be undone by low turnout of your supporters. And if your rival supporters come out in impressive numbers, no matter what you do, no matter what you've got to offer, you are not going to win the election. So there's a lot that we can do in this regard. But as I said earlier, all of those things that usually characterize elections in our country were also present here in this Edo election. Intimidation, violence, vote buying, late deployment of ballot materials, inadequate security in some places, and in some cases, over militarization of the electoral environment. Even moving around for journalists was even a problem, because they were also being harassed by the men of the armed forces who were brought in to police the election, to provide security during the election.
So, BK, let me take some of one or two comments before I go to my final question to you. Ekwakete one says, Obaseki fought almost everyone that assisted him, and his candidate losing is not a surprise. He picked necessary fights with the king as well. Fubara in Rivers should also learn, you don't fight people and structures that helped you gain power. Fubara will get the same treatment soon. I don't pity him. Well, that's your thought. Taiwo Odulade says, I strongly believe people are getting tired of this so-called technocratism style of politics. People now look at what you've done for them, and your history goes a long way. Ismail says, Obaseki failed us in Edo State in terms of infrastructure development and will vote PDP out of government, period. Joseph Igodaro says, Obaseki is a gallant man who fought a good fight and left his mark positively on the people. You will start seeing the difference immediately when he leaves office. Then Ismail also says, Obaseki disrespects Oba of Benin Kingdom and pay for it. I pity Igodalo. Taiwo says, politics is more rural and more local than what we think. APC candidates went from village to village instead of jumping from TV to also newspapers and other online discussions. That brings to the fore the issue of political debate. BK, I think this is just going to be a little bit extended. The issue of political debate, because it was part of the conversations, before this election, that we saw a journalist going on TV harassing one of the candidates, saying he must come, he must show for political debates and all of that. And it felt like he wasn't going to win. Even the Labour Party candidate was posting on one of the national TVs that certain journalists conducted a poll on his child, and then he got 71%. And people said that if the guy has his way, he should go sue such reporter, such presenter for giving him false hope. How do you see attending political debates and then door-to-door, word-of-mouth kind of campaign that characterize this election, the campaign, and then this Edo election? How unique do you find all of these things?
As a journalist, I would love to see those who want to rule us subject themselves to a debate. I would like to see them appear on TV, enunciate their plans. I would like to see them speak, not just in their language, but in the language that is deemed universal in our country. Speak English language so that we can even assess how their level of elocution. I'm not by this saying that elocution alone will win votes for you. Buhari refused to do a debate in 2011. It still didn't stop him from securing more votes, especially in northern Nigeria. It still didn't stop him from securing more than 10 million votes. The only time he came short of securing his usual 14 million votes was when he contested against Yaradua, because Yaradua defeated him in northern Nigeria. Yaradua was the president, the person who eventually won the election. So when Buhari had to contest against Yaradua, he didn't get his usual 14 million votes. So that's that. Monday Okwebolo refused to go on to TV stations to speak about his plans, but he was interviewed by journalists. At least I saw TVC reporters spoke with him at the end of a rally. So the notion that he cannot speak English is wrong. And when he made a mistake by saying, "I'll give you insecurity," he quickly corrected himself. But the naysayers, those who are bent on ridiculing him, they edited away that portion where he quickly corrected himself, just to show that it was a slip of tongue. I think that when you look at what he had done, because I was told that he was very generous, that when the people had security problems, he bought vehicles for vigilantes to be able to secure the people better. People don't forget some of those things. The ordinary people don't forget the generosity that he showed to them. I think he showed to the people that he was very homely, was very humble, and he presented himself to them in a different way. I also think that, just as you said, people are not interested in all of this talk about technocrats and all that. They want the homeboys. They want the homeboys, people that that understand the problems they are facing, the people that understand their language. Those are who they want. They don't want technocrats, people who have not lived within their cities, who have not lived with them before. So Okwebolo, in my view, is somebody blessed, and the signs were there that he could win the election, especially with the way people were defecting to the APC. The signs were there, and then given what Obaseki done to people. Remember the case of those lawmakers that he did not allow them to come back to the House of Assembly. He ran the House of Assembly with less than 10 men. All of the people all of those lawmakers, they brushed them aside. For 4 years, they were not paid. They simply stopped them from exercising their rights as lawmakers voted for by the Edo people. And so those lawmakers, even the lawmaker representing Oredo in the House of Assembly was one of the people, one of the victims. The then deputy governorship candidate of the APC was also one of the victims because he had been elected into the House of Assembly before he was picked as deputy governorship candidate to Izeyam. So he was also, that's Gani, who hailed from Donor, was also a victim. So all of those people that he had wronged, they came together and said, over our dead body, will you be allowed to bring in your successor? You are the one who said that Edo people do not like godfathers. How come you now want to become a godfather? So there are so many issues that contributed to the complexion that the Edo governorship election assumed in the final analysis. I just hope that INEC can move on from this election to organize better elections for us in the future.
That's right. That's right. Very interesting analysis there, BKO. Let me just related one or two comments. Chukuma says this is a height of election. Well, I don't think I can take that. The Space Express crew says Obaseki should not have forced Shaibu the way he did. They should have brought him closer. Obaseki's pretense on doing is pushing Shaibu away. That's his own opinion. Michael says, APC, congratulations to Edo people. And then Taiwo says, again, God bless you richly, BKO. Kolade says, after God, Naja, na APC. Very funny. Well, so many comments here. I'm getting information, getting directive to round off, but I just want you to speak to this very quickly, as short as you can. Very soon, we should be expecting, the candidates who are agreed to begin to go to court.
Yes, given the way the representative of the PDP inside the coalition center, the state coalition center was speaking, I can almost bet with my life that the PDP will go to court. Whether they will win in court is an answer blowing in the wind. But he already complained that some of the results from Edo North were manufactured. Some of the results from Oredo, he got up to say that Oredo is actually his local government and that their agents were not permitted to enter the coalition hall. So I don't know who signed in the final analysis, whether somebody else signed for the agent. Well, we don't know. But given the way he spoke and the anger in his voice, I'm sure that the outcome of this election, will be contested in court. Certainly be contested in court.
That's right. So breaking news just reaching us now says INEC announces a 45-minute break. One local government area to go. So in a short time, we'll definitely get INEC to announce, the final winner of these elections. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide, Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses as always. And I believe that by next edition, we'll have something very important to talk about. Could be a dual election or could be other important issues happening in Nigeria that we'll be looking at on Issues with Jide.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for your patience. We couldn't do this yesterday because we desperately wanted to do something about the election, and there was really not much to report at that time, but We thank you for your patience for waiting for us. Thank you, Ibrahim, that you had to do this from your house.
Yeah. President Ebikio, this unannounced program, we have more than 2,000 people watching currently. This is quite unprecedented, you know,
Yes.
on a day like this, that it's quite unannounced.
Yes, because everyone is anticipating the announcement of the result, and the fact that it's been postponed again has helped us. So they are not distracted, they are not watching their TV, they are focused on us. And when they resume, they will go back to watching the collation.
Well, thank you so much, our audience, for keeping our company on the every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News on G. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.